Discussion, it's the heart of the matter. Serving up opinions on a silver platter. It's a grind. The information getting, bringing your guy so hot you'll be sweating. These two dudes with attitudes will put you in the mood for a plate full of brain food. So don't delay, my daughter, my son. Visit the buffet called Promoter 101.
Proof that you can be half asleep and still mildly entertaining. It's Steiny and Luke in the morning on Promoter 101.
Just when you thought it was safe to put your earbuds back in, Promoter 101 has rebooted. And here they are, back in action, Steiny and Luke, reunited just for you.
As Britney Spears once said, oops, I did it again. Promoter 101 is back with Connor and W. Luke Pierce. Welcome back, boys.
I've missed you all, and boy, have we got a big first recording back here. We are excited about the reboot of Promoter 101, kicking things off with a recorded live interview at Pollstar on the big stage, Dan, with Paladin artist Steve Martin, Andy Summers, Chyna Chuan, and boy, do they ever deliver.
Man, Pollstar Live, what a fun time that was. And Promoter 101 doing the pop-up. No one saw it coming, including us, Luke. That was a surprise to you, me, and Connor. 3 weeks out, none of us knew we were going to be on that stage. And a big thanks to Andy and Ray and the whole Pollstar team for hosting us and making that possible, because that was just a great time.
Indeed.
Plus, we've got a recap of news of the week. You know, there is other news besides the fact that Promoter 101 is rebooting. I can't imagine what that is, but Luke, I bet you found something.
You can find it in my Signal chat, Dan. I'll invite it to you later.
First, you're going to have to teach me what Signal is. But hey, I'm sure those young kids all know about that. Connor?
Promoter 101 reboot starts right now.
Wake up with Steiny and Luke. And then you should probably question all your life choices. Yeah. Promoter 101.
Well, there are over 225 past episodes of Promoter 101 available for your education and enjoyment needs. You can find those at promoter101.com or .net.
Feel free to hit us up with your ideas and questions at steiny@promoter101.net.
And of course, all over the internet, all the time, come join the conversation. On X, this show is at Promoter 101. I'm at W. Luke Pierce. Dan is at The Jew, and over on Instagram, the show is Steiny Promoter 101. Dan is at Dan Presents, and I'm at W. Luke Pierce.
Let's face it, work is overrated. Conference room. Tune in to Steiny and Luke and pretend you're productive together.
Luke, shall we get into the industry news, the happenings of what's going down in the business?
I think we should. So, Dan, we used to do this every week, talk about the news, industry highlights here. Obviously, a lot has happened in a couple of years here, so we're going to take it in bite-sized chunks here, and we're going to kind of break down news of the month. Try to hit on some general themes during this time period, a lot to cover, a lot of headlines, but I'm going to try to stick to the major themes in the business and give ourselves a chance to discuss some of this. So, I want to talk first about something that came out of Pollstar. Feel-good headline that we've been seeing all month reads, "Live music industry thrives despite economic uncertainty." Goldman Sachs, Billboard, the trades, everybody is singing the same tune, Dan. Fans are shelling out big bucks for concerts, even as interest rates climb and consumer spending dips everywhere else. And yes, on the surface, that's true. Stadiums are packed, festivals are selling out. Taylor, Beyonce, Bad Bunny, U2, The Sphere, record grosses, multi-night runs, huge VIP upcharges. Hell, it looks like the golden age of live entertainment. But I think there's one thing that people aren't asking, and it wasn't addressed in the Pollstar panel as to whether or not we are in a market correction. Who is winning? Because if you're an artist that plays tours in a Sprinter van, 400 cap rooms, lugs your own drums, settles your own merchandise. At the end of the night, this boom might feel more like a funeral. Let's break it down. So right now, what we're seeing is the industry is being a little bit barbell shaped. You've got the mega artists and the nostalgia juggernauts on one end, out there grossing hundreds of millions of dollars. On the other end, you've got the growing class of the scrappy DIY artists trying to build it all from the ground up. In the middle, you've got the working class of live music. Those artists that used to make a living playing 10 cities in 2 weeks. The artists who once had enough fans at every market to justify a van, a tech, and a day rate. Those folks are getting crushed. And why? Well, costs are way up. Fuel, lodging, crews, and guarantees just quite haven't kept pace. Venues and promoters find it challenging to offer more when their costs are also up. Some can't. And fans, they're not going to go to 12 shows a year anymore. They blew through their $1,200 in 2 nights at Taylor in a football stadium, and that's their entertainment budget for the quarter. Meanwhile, the growth we keep celebrating is hyper-concentrated. The top 1% of artists are capturing more attention, more ticket revenue, more fan engagement, more brand deals, and leaving else to fight for some crumbs. And for our fans, they're getting dynamically priced, fees on fees, less access to new breaking talent because the system that's being built right now isn't built to develop those artists anymore. It's built to extract from them. So yeah, the industry's growing, but growth isn't necessarily health. And what we're seeing isn't necessarily trickled down. It's a flood at the top and a drought everywhere else. And until we reckon with that, artist pay, the new deal terms, the touring economics, seeing a restructuring and a rebalancing, we're going to keep reading headlines that sound like good news, but might feel like gaslighting to the rest of the people actually on the road.
We've never seen in the history of the business acts doing 3, 4, 5, 6 nights in the same stadium. Touring is different than it's ever been. These aren't residencies. This is a stop in a market now. The biggest artists are bigger than they've ever been. Beyonce, the Stones, Taylor, Ed Sheeran playing 360 in the round in stadiums, setting records. Who does that? Metallica doing doubles in stadiums everywhere. Like, that's the norm now. You never saw that. If a band was big enough to do a double somewhere, it was the Stones doing New York, Paris, London, LA. They were up filling the lineup with maybe Guns N' Roses as main support. You don't see that stuff anymore. You're seeing the big headliners being able to roll multiple days in stadiums. Bad Bunny, how many can we do? Beyonce, how many can we do? Taylor, how many can we do? The Stones, how many can we do? This is the norm now. It's massive. And it's happening global. Coldplay is just crushing how many nights this band can do in any given market. And they're on fire. The number of shows in Wembley every year is amazing. It's just off to the races. Just bigger, bigger, and bigger. So how much money is left with the entertainment dollar for the fan after they've spent the money on merch and the awesome seat and had that experience at a massive stadium show where they're fighting to get in? Oasis, you were lucky to get a ticket, let alone paying the fee. And you know that travel's going to be something if you were lucky enough to find a ticket somewhere. The hotel, the air, the merch that proves you were there. It's a thing. Do you have money to go see another show after that? A lot of people aren't gonna.
Different times in 2025 for sure.
And it's never been more expensive to be on the road. So yeah, it's going to get harder for the smaller acts, and there's definitely a crunch there.
All right, Dan, let's talk ticketing again. I feel like some sort of conference talking about ticketing all the time in the news in this podcast, but there is some substantial news in this space because this month, the U.S. House Representatives actually advanced the Ticket Act. Yes, that's some sort of dumb acronym. And yes, it's another legislative stab at fixing the mess that is the modern box office. Now, if you're a fan, this bill might sound like a godsend. Calls for no more hidden fees, no more speculative tickets, no more bait and switch from $49.99 to $97.28 plus a service fee, plus a delivery fee, plus a convenience fee for the convenience of charging you more. But if you're in the industry, it gets a little bit more interesting. So here's what the Ticket Act does, at least in theory. It does 3 things. It mandates all-in pricing. No more sticker shock at checkout. You see the real cost up front when you go to click on your ticket on your reserved seat map. 2, it bans speculative ticketing. Brokers can't sell something they don't have. These bots that go in and hold tickets on one platform and try to sell them to you at a 3x markup on another platform bans the use of those. And the third thing is it requires clearer disclosures. Secondary sellers must say that they're reselling and what the refund terms are. This is important because a lot of scalper sites look conspicuously similar to primary sites or venue sites in general. Sounds great, right? Real question is this going to have actually any support? And it seems like it is. The Senate seems to have a similar bill that's got bipartisan traction. Fans are pissed off. Kid Rock's in the White House talking about this. Artists are actually out there publicly backing it. And with Taylor Swift and Beyonce now effectively acting as economic indicators, lawmakers are finally starting to pay attention. But here's where we pull back the curtain a little bit, Dan. The Ticket Act does not break up behemoth industry. It does not stop Ticketmaster from owning both the on-sale and the resale. And it does not address exclusive venue contracts with vertical dominance. And it's not some antitrust hammer. It's maybe a scalpel or shooting a BB at an elephant. Critics are right to ask the question, is this just some sort of window dressing? Will it help fans, or will it just move the hidden fees somewhere else? Because let's not forget, all-in pricing can still mean dynamic all-in pricing, meaning the price can move up and down on you, a tool that we all know and use and love in this business. Banning speculative tickets won't stop bots from hoarding the real ones. And transparency doesn't actually mean affordability. So here's why this whole act matters. Because even if this thing does pass in some slimmed down form, it lays the groundwork for federal oversight of the ticketing industry, a space that for decades has operated with shockingly little regulation, given the billions at stake and given how many other developed countries and nations have severe regulations in place. It could give artists and fans the leverage to ask for more. It could open the door for future legislation that actually might have a real bite to it. But I would say this, don't get it twisted. This bill's not going to change your pre-sale scramble next month. It's not going to get your $38 in fees refunded. And it's not going to stop bad actors from gaming the system yet. What do you think of all this, Dan?
There's a lot of things there. First of all, you're right. The scalpers keep getting smarter and smarter between the bots, the lookalike sites, the scam that is there. So the fact that they're going to make that more customer friendly is absolutely an awesome thing for the industry, for the fan. It's a win for the venue. It's a win for the artist. It's a win for the fan. It's a win for the first tier market of the industry as well, because it protects their product. And these lookalike sites aren't exclusive to entertainment. You go to the hotel sites, you go online and you Google hotel rooms in any city, you see all these lookalike sites that look like the real first party chains, and they're just that. They're resellers, right? So you see this all over. It's happening. Refunds are next to impossible when you buy from the secondary, and that's going to help clean this up so you know what you're dealing with. That's awesome.
I find it so interesting that you bring up that point that it is, I'm in the Airbnb business as well on the side, and this has been an area that's been explored under Consumer Protection Acts previously about that all-in pricing effect in the lodging and reservation space. But it's interesting to me that they're targeting ticketing and entertainment in this administration particularly. I mean, certainly, yeah, my joke about Beyonce and Taylor Swift being economic indicators, like they might be. I mean, these are, the language of policymakers is numbers, and these numbers are so big they have to pay attention to it. To say nothing to the fact that you got guys like Kid Rock wandering the West Wing hallways, getting in Donald Trump's ear about ticketing and the money that's being made on his back by scalpers. But it's interesting to me that this one area of consumer protection is being paid attention to versus some of the other much larger industries and reservations, hotels, all those points you made. That's a really great and salient point, Dan.
It's no news that Bob has a relationship with Donald Trump. I mean, he's been in his corner for a long time. So the fact that he's going to come out as an artist and try and push artist-friendly things through using that relationship, that's been the history of politics, right? He just happens to be one of the few major artists that line up on the other side of those politics that's very vocal, right? So that could net a positive thing for the industry as far as the ticketing deal with his head in the game, because he's certainly a businessman first and foremost, right? He's out there. He's built a great brand, and, he's a rock star doing his thing.
He certainly is.
As far as the world of ticketing, they've done the all-in pricing in a couple states already. A couple cities have already gone to this. It's not the end of the world. People are going to buy tickets. People are going to go to shows. People want to see their acts. It's not like they're going to drive to the next town that the act's playing, 8 hours away. People want to see their favorite acts. They're going to go to shows. If it can make everything cleaner and clearer as far as what the prices are, let's get there. Let's figure it out. Let's show the fans what the ticket costs. Sell them the ticket. Let's move on. Let's do it already.
I think this is the appropriate time to insert an ad for Steiny for Congress, running for Washington's 5th District.
That'll happen.
Dan, it's been a while since we've talked about news of the week for this podcast, but there's one theme that I think is very important to talk about, which is Billy McFarland is back. Strap in, folks. We've got a story that reads like satire, but unfortunately is 100% real. Of course, listeners of this podcast, and probably anyone not living under a rock in the last 5 years, probably remembers Firefest, Billy McFarland, cheese sandwiches, luxury tents made of FEMA tarps, a lineup that never showed up unless you count lawsuits. It was the Titanic of music festivals, only less organized and with more influencers stranded on a Bahamian beach. And it's back, sort of. Because this month, the Fire brand, still alive, still well after Billy finds himself out of prison, was quietly acquired by a group of investors that repurposed the whole organization, not as a festival, but get this, as a music streaming service. Let me repeat that. Fire Festival is now a streaming platform. And according to the team behind this brilliant pivot, the new Fire streaming service will be artist-centric with exclusive content, premium access, and what they're calling a, quote, digital experience unlike any other. Which, sure, that part's probably technically true, but there is no streaming service with the equity of a financial crime.
Is it possible that Billy is such a good marketing persona that he stirred the pot about a second festival that was never going to happen just to get everybody's attention in the world talking, so when he had the eyeballs, they could launch this new streaming service? Could he legitimately be that good of a marketer, or is it just one scam into another?
I think those may be two sides of the same coin, Dan. I think Billy might be a brilliant enough marketer to pull off a move like this, whether he was intending to do that or not. That's a real question. I'm sure the narrative that's going to be spun out of this is the brilliance of the people that gobble this up and are printing headlines about it. And I mean, everyone's written about this. I would love to get our buddy Dave Brooks a billboard here on the podcast to talk about this. He tells me that every major streaming service out there, Netflix, Paramount, Peacock, everybody is optioning this story because they all expect it to end up the same way as Fire One, a giant, unmitigated disaster.
Hold on, look, do you think there's a chance that they'll let him have the same cell he had last time he was in prison?
That's actually currently occupied by Diddy right now, so they have to move him down the hallway. There's no streaming service with the brand equity of a financial crime, and yet here we are in 2025 with more outrageous headlines. So I've been scrolling around on a few Discords, and industry folks are asking the obvious questions. Who's funding this? What artists are signing up? Is Ja Rule still involved? And have we all just collectively given up on life and should pursue another profession because Billy McFarland is out there making hay? Now, to be fair, the tech behind it might not be a complete scam. Reports are saying that it's blockchain enabled. There's some music discovery component behind it, and there's whispers of these indie-friendly rev shares that are taking precedence in a lot of recorded music nowadays. But it's hard to take anything seriously when the app literally launches with a flame emoji. I mean, I don't know how you do it. And I think it all raises a bigger point. In 2025, branding, to your point, doesn't have to be good. It just has to be famous. And that's what Billy did here. So if Fire can be rebranded into a DSP, what's next? Are we going to have a Woodstock NFT wallet, or Quibi for tour managers, or Napster presenting the Super Bowl halftime? I don't know. Any of these things now seem possible because Billy McFarland is out there winning with the fucking streaming service. This is ludicrous. So yeah, the story's not over. It's just pivoted from one fraudulent event to a platform economy play with a questionable user experience.
Well, whether it launches or not, it's a tie-in, it's a release. People are paying attention to him because he's just like a car accident. You can't look away. But whatever it is, you don't want to get your money anywhere near him.
2025, this is real late stage capitalism shit right here. Billy McFarland succeeding in 2025 just blows my mind. I can't wait for the documentary.
That'll do it for News of the Week. Join us next month as we take on all new news that's been happening in the industry since last we updated you just now.
your excuse to turn up the volume and drown out Karen from accounting. Steiny and Luke in the morning on Promoter 101.
It's been a while, of course, since we've had one of these. We used to call these tweets of the week. Is it fair to still be calling them tweets a week when these are these X's of the weeks? You're not truthing of the week, are you, these days, Dan? You can find Dan at The Jew on Twitter, and you can find out all of the recent tweets of the week. So let's have it.
I got to admit, Luke, I had not tweeted in ages, and I had to get back on Twitter and do some tweeting so we could have some tweets of the week to talk about.
I noticed you were busy online this week, Dan. You're out churning the content game, as the kids would say.
Doing the thing.
All right, well, let's get back into your newly revised X account here at The Jew. First one up here. Beware of people asking for a quote-unquote solid.
A solid, aka a major favor. Anytime anyone has ever asked me for a solid, it's always coming from someone that is really, really never going to return the favor down the road. So definitely think about the return on the investment when you're talking about doing somebody a favor. Think about that one. The solid, never good.
Dan, you don't want this show on a Tuesday or a Wednesday? You sure? Can you do me a solid?
Can I do you a solid and do the show on the Sunday in Salt Lake City?
Those LDS crowds, they'll love that. Next up, a true Rush fan knows their favorite airport. Hashtag YYZ.
Our older Canadian listeners will really appreciate that one, Luke.
This goes out to you, Jake Gold. Next up, shortcuts that undercut your honor are never worthwhile in the long run.
Your word is all you have in this business. Give that some value and some weight. It will be worthwhile for your investment in the long run. Keep your word valuable, Luke.
It's a relationship business, Dan.
It is.
That'll do it for tweets of the week. Make sure you follow Dan at The Jew over on X.
It's pretty obvious they never really grew up. They only learned how to act in public. Steiny and Luke in the morning on Promoter 101.
It's time to bring it back. The Promoter 101 Badass of the Week. Or is this Badass of the Month? Do they get to reign for an entire month as a badass now, Dan? And we're bringing this back on a monthly basis. Does the reign continue? Or do we declare 3 or 4 badasses of respective weeks? What are we going to be doing here?
I think it ought to be Badass of the Month. I think, the weight's involved in that. Badass of the Month. I guess we're changing it up.
All right, Dan, who is it?
This month is easy. It's going out to the one and only Jelly Roll for the keynote at Pollstar this week for pulling it off like a champ. Our Promoter 101 Badass of the Week, Jelly Roll, just killing it at Pollstar last week.
Yeah, sitting on stage with Michael Rapino, delivering more than an hour's worth of content to the panel goers last week. Top to bottom, great answers, authentic, well-spoken. I mean, I wish every artist could be like Jelly Roll, or as Andy Summers calls him, Jellyfish.
I just can't wait till he does the free show here in Washington in Walla Walla. He said it on stage. You know that shit's going to happen. I'm going to Walla Walla to see my free Jelly Roll concert.
He did handle that session like a modern-day Left Sits. I mean, just top to bottom. If you weren't at Pollstar Live, you certainly missed out. Go find that recording of that interview with Michael Rapino and go give it a listen. That guy is a pro.
Totally agreed, Luke.
They thought they wanted careers. Turns out they just wanted paychecks. Steiny and Luke in the morning on Promoter 101.
Last week at Pollstar Live, Dan and I caught up with Paladin artists Steve Martin, Andy Summers, Chyna Chuan. So without further ado, here we go.
So the rumors are true. We are rebooting the podcast right here at Pollstar, and we're excited to do it. We've got a great show, but joining me right now, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for my partner in crime, W. Luke Pierce.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much, Pollstar, for having us. And yes, we are very excited to be back. Hello to our theme songwriter, Mr. Craig Newman over here. Let's give him a shout out. Thanks for that warm intro today.
Craigie Fresh.
Got to give a big thanks to everyone that's listened and supported this podcast over the years. Dan and I started this back in 2016. And for those of you that don't know Promoter 101, we've got more than 230 episodes featuring all sorts of people, including last night's most recent inductee to the Pollstar Hall of Fame, Mr. Louis Messina, the guy that was just previously on stage, Mr. Michael Rapino. And it's sort of become Dan and I's love letter to the music business. Stories, wisdom, experiences from many people in here, and it's something that we're excited to be rebooting back here on this stage today. So if you haven't checked out the podcast before, anywhere you stream podcasts or promoter101.net. So that's enough shilling from me, but thank you all for the longtime listeners, and thank you for welcoming us back to the stage today. So enough with the shilling. Why don't we go ahead and bring out the guests, the Rainmakers. We're all here to celebrate today. So please give a warm welcome to the team from Paladin Artists, Mr. Steve Martin, Andy Summers, and Chyna Chuan. Let's throw it together.
All right, let's get right to it. We want to welcome and thank you guys for coming out. You all work together at APA, and during COVID and the industry shake-up, you guys reformed like Voltron, one of the biggest startups to come out of COVID. Tell us about how Paladin came together and how you all joined together. Steve?
Need, desperation.
We needed a place to work.
COVID was a dark time for everybody. I wasn't enamored with the corporate life. So we decided just to start our own thing with people that we enjoyed working with, clients that we enjoyed working with, and kind of create a fresh slate.
And you have a long history together, you and Andy in particular, too. And I'm sort of reminded in Paladin's work of another agency that you guys worked together at, the Agency Group, which I know you had a big part of here.
I don't know that one.
Don't know that one? Yeah. But I think there was really something special and magical about that agency, the people that worked together there, and it seems like you maybe have stolen a page or two from the playbook from TAG days. And how is Paladin taking from that, and how are you doing things differently than what you did at TAG?
It's been really fun walking around the last couple of days and running into a lot of our alumni. And I'm so proud of all of them, starting with Omar and Colin, by the way, going down. And I don't want to name people because there'll be too many and then I'll miss some, but everybody's done really well. And they seem to look back on that as a special time because a lot of them were out of college or young when they started and they were there 20 years, just about. So I'm very pleased about that. The model of the agency group worked in terms of compensation, in terms of intercompany exchanges, and basically stay out of the way. You don't want to micromanage agents. It's like training German shepherds. When it works well, it's good, but you take a nip occasionally, and that's okay. Yeah.
Andy, you have an amazing eye for talent. And you found early on Pennywise, Bowling for Soup, Sum 41, Megadeth, Green Day, Testament, Dancehall Crashers, Hepcat, and my personal favorite, Social Distortion. How do you find all these acts so early on?
In the case of a lot of them, you sign a couple of bands and they start telling you about other bands who are their friends, etc. Or in the early days for me, it was with like managers who were starting out the same way I was starting out. We trusted each other because we were all independent. We didn't have to deal with like the big guys. So we would find out about stuff and like just deal with it before like the big agencies could pounce on it.
Chyna, let's talk with you a little bit here. You've got a long and storied career in this business from ICM to APA. You've been a leader in the corporate and private space for a long time. You've got a new and kind of expanded role and responsibilities inside Paladin as leader of agency operations. How are you staying on top of your game, both in the corporate, private world of things, as well as all the new things you have to do at your new home at Paladin?
It's a lot, but I'm having so much fun. I'm doing something that I completely love to do. I mean, I get to work with these guys on a daily basis, and then I also get to do the other part of it where, I get to book the whole roster. So it's not just working with, specific rosters, working with everybody in our company as well as all the rosters. Helping Steve and Andy manage the company. It was a big task when Steve asked me to do it, because I remember that phone call when he's like, would love for you to come on board. And I said, yeah, I can do private and corporates in my sleep. And he's like, well, I kind of want you in a different role. And I was like, what role is that? And he's like, well, we want you to help manage. And I was like, okay. I hung up the phone and I went, oh, fuck. How do you fucking manage a company, But you know what? Working at ICM and working with APA, I kind of got the gist of what I needed to do in order to help both Andy and Steve. And now it's just like, I'm having a great time. Yeah. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
We needed an adult in the room.
Somebody to keep you on the rails?
We needed a mama bear and a den mother.
Was there something you saw in China that said this? She has this. She can do this. Or was it just the need in the person?
That's a good question, and it kind of came out during COVID when we were on Zoom calls internally at APA, and there was nothing to do. I mean, we're having these Zoom calls just saying hi. And China had exhibited a lot of qualities just in terms of thoughtfulness and organization that kind of exceeded the niche she was in. So it was like, yeah, we need actually somebody to organize this stuff.
Yeah, we decided she could do shit that we are not capable of doing very well.
Being self-aware and knowing your own limitations is a powerful thing, Andy.
We both Steve and I started independent. We were in the same building on Houston and Broadway in the 80s with our own little agencies. And mine stayed little, until I sold out, of course. Paladin now is like growing. China's been instrumental in keeping our shit together because we're dealing with the other agents most of the time and prioritizing what we do for our clients. So between the three of us, we were able to make a company because somewhere along the line, the common denominator is one of the three of us will make this work and we could be Paladin and maybe people will take us seriously.
I think people are.
And Mr. Solar also sitting out there. When he's not playing poker, he's a hell of an agent and does a great job.
The Bruce Solar in the house and away from the poker table for a change. It's great. Steve, with the success of the David Gilmour tour, how does that level up a new startup agency? Because that's a massive tour that didn't wind up at one of the big four agencies. How did that help Paladin as far as establishing credibility?
That's a good question. Number one, let me correct the misperception that it was a tour. He played 2 cities in America.
He had to get from one to the other, right?
Yes, and 4 cities in the world. David likes to play, doesn't like to travel. The story of hanging on to that client goes back to be nice to people and responsive. The same manager managed an artist called Jules Holland, who doesn't really mean much in America, but he's very popular in England, has a TV show, wonderfully talented guy. And I booked 4 tours for him in the 80s, none of them played. The record company pulled the tour support every time. You cut to a certain time later, the same guy ends up managing David. And he calls me, he goes, "You want to represent David Gilmour?" I was like, sure.
How long do you have to think about that one?
Yeah, not long. And he said, "You're the only agent that ever returned my calls the same day in America, ever. And we made no money on Jules Holland. You never complained about it." So that started a great relationship. David and the manager, a pleasure to work with. Everybody on the crew is fantastic, and the shows are magnificent.
How many shows did you wind up doing between New York and California?
9.
9. So that is the tour.
With 3 bowls, 1 and 2 at 5 gardens, 5 Madison Square Gardens. We could have done more, but David goes, "That's it. If he comes back, it'll be fascinating." He might.
I think tours like David Gilmour certainly give you a degree of validation. I'm assuming it is a young agency as well too. But last night, I know we shouted him out earlier, but Craigie Fresh here got nominated for Agent of the Year for Pollstar.
Fresh.
Yeah, round of applause.
He's our Agent of the Year, Craigie Fresh.
Yeah. And Paladin's been nominated for Pollstar Agency of the Year 3 years running now. So that's, in some way, some more validation. So what do those types of nominations, awards mean to validating your business and what you're doing right now?
A good question. It's nice to be in the conversation. It's nice to have the perception that we're in the conversation. All we can do is do our work and do it well, and you go one day at a time. So to have that kind of acknowledgement is very nice.
And keep on doing what we're doing.
Proof of concept, for sure.
So you guys have got a lot of younger agents coming up under you, which was something that you had also done at the other agencies you'd been in, is mentoring and growing them. Who are some of these younger agents that we should all be watching out for and paying attention to at Paladin?
Christian Ellett, Sarah Schlevert. Who else works for us? You pay more attention
Winston
than me.
Simone.
Winston Simone.
James Bauman, Melissa Ferrick, even though she's a new agent and new to the business. But the secret to what we do is not a secret. It's like putting together a sports team. You get some veterans who can hit 300 and hopefully catch the ball, and some young rookies that you hope get hot. And we've had a good track record and good eye for ambitious young people.
Speaking of agents, Chyna, you're married to another agent. Met the love of your life, Mr. Rick Farrell. Woo! Best mustache in the business. Is he here tonight? Yeah, there he is. So is it true that you met while working at another agency? And you found the love of your life in this business as well?
Yeah, we did meet at a conference. It's a long story of how we hooked up, how we never got engaged, how we eloped, how we got married, how we had a lie. And I kept it from my son, and kept it from my family, and he was like, dude, I wish we would have talked about it before we got married. I was like, sorry. You know, it's great to have, actually I was telling somebody last night, it's great that he's also in the business, you know, and he understands the ins and the outs, you know. It's not somebody like, oh, are you okay? You know, it's like, he can hold his own, and I can hold my own. And then when we get together, you know, we're this power couple that will destroy everything, but it's all good. So I love you, honey.
Is it all friendly? Is it all love at home? Is there ever competition for clients? Is it ever talks of those things? Or...
No, I am friends with a lot of the agents in the different agencies. And, you know, that's one of the things that, I mean, especially with Rick, I mean, we don't do that. I mean, we talk about it, but I don't think we'll ever I don't know, I can't say we'll never poach, but...
adding value, you know?
Yeah, you know, I mean, you know, if it's supposed to be, it's going to be. Yeah. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
We generally have a live and let live philosophy.
Yeah.
Like, don't screw with us, we won't screw with you. We don't call managers to go, you happy over there? Like, we just don't do it. You know, the universe is plentiful with artists.
Yeah. Well, and that leads to our next question of what is the philosophy of Paladin?
We almost called the company No Assholes Allowed. And it was under serious consideration. Mark Geiger was seriously encouraging us to do that. But of course, then it would be NAA, and people would think it's our Narcotics Anonymous meeting. So we ruled that out after a while. But the philosophy is do great work on a day-to-day basis. You know, we're not a giant entity. So we have to be meticulous in our work and the thoughtfulness. Agents at the end of the day are in the confidence business. We are in the confidence business. And we have to give our clients the confidence that we're going to make their best short-term decisions and long-term decisions and have a plan. And with those kind of basic tenets, that it's worked out fairly well. We've had clients for 30, 40 years and try to impart that to the younger people. And if they don't have that kind of sense, we throw them out.
NAA would have been a great name, by the way. I think I would have signed an artist with NAA. I think that's no assholes. That'd have been a good agency for sure. Speaking of 30, 40 years in this business, you all have had long careers, and you've met and know a ton of people here. And I guess I'll throw this one to Andy. But Andy, is it true in the early '90s that you took collect phone calls from some kid in Denver looking to book shows at a skate park?
A high school kid who
some snot
who liked a bunch of my up and coming punk rock bands, and I did. I don't know whatever happened to that kid.
Yeah. Did you really call collect? Just give me that question to set this up here. I mean, were you seriously calling collect to agencies in the '90s?
So I was booking shows at skate parks for $150 for these bands that were $5 or $6, early days, and there was this band called Green Day that Andy was booking, and we were doing shows at the skate park in Colorado Springs, and I checked my messages between class, and he'd be like, we're holding the route book for you. It's we got some details we need to get for you on the show. It's we're waiting for you. I know you're at school. Just call me collect. I call ICM collect from the payphone at school between class, and I was I need to talk to Andy. Can you hold him? No, I got class in 2 minutes. I'm already late. It's Andy took the charges, and we worked out the route book question, whatever it was. But you'd think that he'd be afraid that I wouldn't be able to pay them their $150 since I had to call collect. But we're still doing shows to this day, so I guess it worked out.
Yeah. They got paid.
They got paid.
He's big on making sure we pay the bands.
I never had any doubt with you, Steiny. Never any doubt.
No. My career has been made from Andy Summers, letting me do bands and continuing to support us. And whether it was taking a collect call or giving us a show in a market that we probably didn't belong in yet, he always took a chance on us early on. And that was really, really made it so we could build our company over the years, which we're super appreciative of. Thank you, Andy.
But when you were in high school and all of a sudden we were stepping it up and you were getting bands and like I was charging a little bit more because they were worth it, I think for a while I made you partner with some of the older, more established guys, but you came along.
There was a circle jerk show that I sold out in like 7 minutes.
At the Aslan Theater.
Yeah, that you made me partner with Bill Bass. And I was like, why do I have to partner? It's like, because somebody has to know how to settle a show in Excel and you don't have a computer. I was like, fair. He's like, but you should watch how the big boys settle shows so next time you don't have to partner with them.
I'm sure Bill Bass loved that. Yeah.
So you guys are having an amazing year with your roster. Val Wolf is booking Sublime back on the road with Brad's son, and they're doing festivals and headlining amphitheaters and just killing it. An act that nobody would have really seen ever playing another show as Sublime. And they're probably going to be one of your biggest acts on the road this year. How did that all come together?
Val put in a lot of time on a band called Jacob's Castle, which is Jacob Knoll's band. Really good record on Epitaph. A lot of $500 shows in 200-300 capacity rooms. And you know how Val is. Val Wolf is detailed and doesn't miss a beat. Doesn't miss a beat. It doesn't matter what the show is. You know, promoter calls, Val's gonna spend the time with him.
Long story short.
Yeah. And then, you know, the Sublime with Rome thing was out there, and there was only one guy from Sublime in it sometimes, I think. Somehow Val, along with the management of the two Sublime guys and Jacob, started figuring out, let's give this a try. And Jacob's really good, great front man. And Sublime, the original Sublime guys, great rhythm section, really solid rhythm section. They get up there and it worked. We weren't sure. We weren't sure what it was is it gonna mean what Sublime would mean if it never went away? Not only has it worked as far as the interest in the audiences buying tickets and seeing it, but it's really good. It's not like a cash-in kind of a thing. They're a really good band, and he's a great front man.
It's an amazing thing to see somebody come off your desk as an assistant, as Val Wolf was, Brian Greenbaum. You guys have all had some amazing assistants that have gone on to become very successful. When that happens, in that case where you see someone that you help teach the business to and teach your philosophies to, and you see them successful in the business, whether they're with you or at another agency, how much of that is a pride thing for you to see that they've developed into their own agent?
I think that's the best. One day I'm on a chairlift with Wayne Forte, and it was really interesting. He goes to me, if the student doesn't surpass the teacher, there's no progress. And that stuck with me. So, you know, when I see how really good at this Val is, Brian, a few of my other assistants over the years, feels really good. I want them all to do better than I ever did.
Speaking of things that have been successful and worked, you've got some projects. You know, you represent both the Jeff Bridges, Big Lebowski experience. You've also got Jim Henson's In the Labyrinth concert series. You got these. That's Craigie Fresh and I think Bruce as well in the mix on those things. But these live movie kind of experience attractions have been really gaining traction in the last 5-6 years. So how do you see that growing and continue to be a part of your strategy and your agency?
It's been an untapped market.
Yeah.
And there's, besides our projects, Black Ink, to give them credit, and Jonathan Shankman and Craig, were on top of this like a year and a half ago. And at the time, to be perfectly honest, I went, Labyrinth? That wasn't a hit when it was a hit. But it had a big long tail, which I wasn't aware of. He did a brilliant job putting that together. And he booked England, too. It sold out the Palladium. It sold out everywhere. It's been a magnificent run that's ongoing. Jeff's first show was last night, and he was fantastic. It's like watching two guys in their living room, him and his stuntman of 50 years, drinking White Russians and talking about a movie. It's hilarious. The Princess Bride with Carrie Elways has toured successfully. La La Land with an orchestra. So there's clearly an appetite, I think, for two things: to the fans of the movie to associate with it and see the movie on a big screen. There's probably people over the last 20 years have only seen Lebowski on their TV.
Yeah.
And it's a different experience with a great sound system around you. Craig's got some other cards up his sleeve that he'll be pulling out soon. And Jeff, assuming as he has a good time, which we think he will do more of these. It's kind of testing them out. But I think there's a big appetite for it.
Yeah. So with the craziness of the economy, how does this play into your planning next year with some of your artists, with what's going on with the borders and the laws and the changing? It's like there's so many variables now. Is this having any effect on your touring year for next year or even later this year?
It's having an effect this year, yeah. There's a lot of artists that live outside America that don't want to come. We have Canadian artists who've never had an issue here. Crash Test Dummies, Lorena McKinnon, are wondering what's going to happen. You know, and I can't look them in the eye and say it's not going to be a problem. Whereas before, that was never an anxiety. British clients from Eastern Europe, it's a serious question at this point. And I think it is going to affect things. And then we have to worry about the economy, which keeps going down. We're hoping people have money to buy tickets in the fall.
Is that possible that some of the acts that you live in America that you would route into Canada might not jump over the border because they might be afraid of what might be added or getting back in? Or
I think there's less anxiety about that because the Canadians are lovely people. We love the Canadians, by the way. They're really nice people.
You just got to wonder how much longer
They're
we're
our
going to love
cousins.
us.
We
you know?
have many friends and associates up there. I consider them my Canadian cousins. And they're pissed off. They have every right to be pissed off. So we'll see. It shouldn't be an unstable relationship or playing field, but every day there's signs of instability in many areas.
No, we also have to be concerned about artists that have been coming here for many years from overseas and have been approved by the INS 10, 15 times since even the 80s. They could get the wrong guy when they're coming across and get sent away. I know a couple of members of the UK subs been coming here. I used to book them in the 80s, coming here forever. They had, a couple of their musicians sent back, right? Just sent back. I'm
Was there a reason for it, or was it just random luck of the draw that they just decided they didn't like punk rock that day?
I know of it. I think if they were a bigger band, a household name, we'd know a lot more about it. But that doesn't, we bring in a lot of bands that aren't household names. They're no, for me, in the case of GBH, who are going to come in, since the 80s, been here 20 times. And we've applied for the immigration, for the visa, have no clue of any reason why we shouldn't be sweating it. It's just, that's the climate now.
How are those conversations with your artists and promoters going? Like, is there anything you can do to quell that anxiety, or what do you say to your clients that are feeling anxious about making the trip over the border? Is there anything you can do?
To a certain extent, there's not a lot. And an example is Billy Bragg, who's been coming here for 40 years and who's very outspoken politically. Can I tell him that Homeland Security is not going to go through his social media and go, we don't like what you said, you can't come in? I can't tell him that in good conscience. It's an issue. And they're going through all people, not just artists, people's social media, Facebook. Do you ever see anything bad about anybody? This is an issue.
Chyna, is that having any effect on the corporate world as far as where you're seeing offers coming from and how the privates are working?
I haven't seen any of that as of yet, but I'm sure it's going to probably slowly trickle down.
Early days still?
Yeah. So, I think right now it's just like I'm just going to try to do the best I can do, and then we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
What else are you excited about in the future, the next 5 years of Paladin? What does this look like for you?
We want to be the company that does a really good job for clients.
Yeah.
We like our group of the people, we're all together and we're all friends and do good work, and expand, bring on more friends who do good work. Maybe get into a few other avenues, just like what Craig's doing with the film, what Steve and Bruce are doing with with Jeff Bridges, get into more things that are like unique for us. Because some of us are old, and like there's a spark when you do something that's a little different than what you've been doing. Making sure we sign clients that like we enjoy being with, that, you know, we appreciate. And it's always the best when you get a client coming back to us as an agency saying that they appreciate us.
I think also one of the things is that, I mean, we've got a great team. I mean, from New York to LA, we got a great team. And what, you know, Steve said earlier is just letting things happen organically, you know, and not forcing it. And that's the way that you're going to make things work, you know, because I think if you force something, it's just not going to happen. We all have a good motto. Everybody helps each other. And it's like, for me, it was really different coming from a big corporation into a boutique agency, where you realize it's like everybody cares about everybody here, you know? Like I can literally pick up the phone and call Steve, or I can call Andy and not be like, oh my gosh, do I have to call them, you know, and not be really nervous about it. And it's same thing with our younger, you know, associates as well too. And Steve and Andy, and Bruce, they welcome that and they want that, you know? It's like the young people are our next generation, so.
Let's reverse things for a second. There are a lot of students in the room and young people getting into the business. It is a conference. So from your point of view, when you get a phone call from somebody for the first time and they're trying to establish credibility to buy some of your acts, maybe not the biggest act in the world, but just build that relationship, what are you looking for before you actually say, you know what, yeah, I'm going to give you a shot. You sound like you got something going on, or you got the right spirit. What are you looking for in that first phone call or that first email to establish real credibility to actually take somebody seriously and maybe sell somebody a show that you hadn't in the past?
Where's the money coming from? Number one. How long have you been doing this? What are your qualifications? What room? You asked that a long time ago, Dan. and you came to New York. So you're trusting your clients, who to a certain extent are your kids, with somebody new. It's a very anxious relationship. So you have to give, or who's calling has to give me the confidence that you know who the artist is, you know how to promote him. If you call him looking to put Billy Bragg in a stadium, that's not going to be a long conversation. You know? We get a lot of calls for David Gilmour for PACs. It's hilarious, actually.
I like the idea of David Gilmour doing an underplay in a PAC. I don't know that Billy would love the idea of walking on a stadium in this country. I'm not quite sure if that would work. But honestly, money aside, and yeah, money's got to be real. And especially now, because it used to be, particularly when I was starting doing Andy's bands, you'd have to pay the band cash before they played. It was a very big deal. You had to have the cash before they went on. A little less when they started to know you and they're playing the market the third or fourth time. But now we don't pay bands night of show. It's an ACH the next day. So we're in a scenario where we could fuck the bands constantly if we wanted to. We can only do it once. But you guys are always trusting that we're going to pay the band the next day, that the wire is going to come, and it's a volume business, and obviously. But it's a different game, because before we used to have to pay the band before they went on stage, and now everything's an ACH the following day. Nobody's even dealing with cash night of. So is that because there's no money exchange night of? Is there any of that? People are getting screwed a little bit more, or does that ever come up anymore?
That's because we have faith in the people we deal with relationships that have built up for decades. And in those days, when we asked for the money up front, they were usually weed dealers that were promoters, or they owned a bar, and if the bar went down, you weren't getting paid. The structure's a bit different, but you still, those situations where we accept being paid after the show, there's a bond of trust there that's been built up.
So are there larger deposits involved with people that you don't know as well, and there's maybe a trust issue or a worry about the money?
If we don't know them that well, and we want to try to, they're going to come up with something creative and special for our clients, we'll hold their hands through it. We want to nurture young promoters. You know, we want them to succeed. It's good for us. It's good for them. You know, you just got to be aware of when they first reach out. It's really hard because we get emails all the time looking for a specific band. And the first word is, hey. And then, how much it costs for this band? I've got a 200-seater, et cetera, et cetera. They don't put their name. Or they introduce their name, et cetera. You get 10 of those.
But I imagine you
pick
deal with
which
this
one
more,
you might
right?
want to check out.
You probably see this more than Steve does and more than Chyna does. Well, big corporations that are spending corporate money, there's no money at the door, right? There's no reductions needed there.
Right.
Steve, in all fairness, I didn't get to buy a show from you until I was already doing at least small arena level shows because you had that roster that was just so expensive I was too fucking scared to even ask. But Andy, you've got a lot of those young bands that are still playing clubs, and even the older bands, GBH, they're playing 500, 1,000 seat rooms, right? You're working with a lot of younger buyers on that stuff, so you must get those newer phone calls from those guys, the first caller, a lot more.
Young punk rock buyers are rediscovering GBH. But it's a different world for GBH. They've been independent. They come over every couple of years. At one point, they're selling out Santa Monica Civic. And, now we'll come in, we'll sell out, the Fonda. But they come in and they do it. Their grandfathers, they hop in the van the same way they did. And you know what? It's not something that's growing, but they've been loyal to me since 1985, so they have my loyalty.
That's incredible. 1985, this band has been with you that long.
I'm going to put the work in.
That's outstanding, though. The loyalty in that relationship is incredible. And I think it speaks to Bruce has been Cake's agent as long as I can remember. Steve has had many of your acts on your roster. I can't even remember past agents on half of these acts because you've had them so long. And Andy, Social Distortion, since I was in high school, you've been their agent.
They're nice guys.
Obviously, you guys are doing something right over there.
It is kind of rare, but there are many examples. Frank Riley, Carol Lewis, Marsha Vlasic, there are examples of that kind of longevity, but it's a privilege. Billy Bragg's been 40 years, Hot Tuna, Robert Hunter was 40 years, and we still look after the estate. Dream Theater's been 36 years, Porcupine Tree. Dolly Parton was 16 years. That was a great 16 years, and she stopped touring, so it was okay.
Scorpions were with you guys forever, too. It's just these very long relationships that are very impressive that just keep going, obviously.
Confidence. We're in the confidence business.
There was something you guys did recently that you mentioned on it for a second, but I'd like you to go back to it. You guys hired Melissa Farrick, who, for those of you that don't know, is a touring artist for 30 plus years, and a little bit like Ani DeFranco vibes, very independent female singer-songwriter and amazing artist. But you guys have hired her as an agent now, which is amazing insight because she knows what those venues feel like and smell like and how bad the green rooms are. So bringing her in has got to be an amazing ethos thing for your team to get to ask her about what was that club like in Santa Monica, right? It's just it's incredible. How did that come to be? How did she wind up as an agent?
She asked for a job. It was kind of that simple. We had a mutual friend in common, Peter Casperson. He called me about it.
Ani's manager.
Right. And I just thought I met with her. I had seen her a long time ago, and she's a terrific artist. But she knows she was kind of plateaued to a certain extent in that area. She's got a degree from Berkeley. She also teaches at Berkeley and Syracuse, I believe. But I thought it'd be an interesting perspective to have an artist talk to an artist about coming in. She's working on Janessi. She signed Pete Roge. She's working on Janessi, and I think she's going to do really well. She's very thoughtful, very smart, and very ambitious.
Before we let you go, because there are students in the room, I want to ask you guys, is there any advice for the younger people in the room, how to have longevity in your career? Anything you can offer these younger up-and-comings in the room?
Either be really mean and sneaky and evil, or the opposite, which is what I think we are. Do a really good job for your clients. 9 out of 10 times, that's what it takes. The one or 2 out of 10 times, you do a good job, it doesn't matter. But I think it's about relationships. I think it's about, knowing your artist, making sure they know you and they enjoy being around you when you show up, and making them feel confidence when you're not there, that they know you're paying attention and that you have their backs.
Meet people. Hang out. Somebody asked me, one of the people in the office asked me, how did you do that? I said, I basically made a career out of hanging out for the last 40 years. You show up, meet everybody, know who the production manager is at the club. Want to find out information about a tour? Talk to the bus driver. They'll tell you exactly what's going on the tour. Production managers become tour managers, become managers. There's no harm in befriending these people. I gave one of my associates in New York a task recently because she said she wasn't on the guest list at a club, so she didn't go in. I said, your task is to talk your way into any 3 random clubs. You know you're not on the list. I don't care what genres they are. Talk your way in. And when you can do that 2 out of 3 times, then come back to me and talk about it. Con your way. It's a good test.
Chyna?
Yeah, I had a couple of associates, come as hanging out with me yesterday, and I was just introducing, them to like everybody that I knew. And one of the things that I kind of prepped them, I'm like, meet everybody. If you see them at the conference next year, go up to them and be like, hey, I met you last year. And then you slowly start building that relationship. And it's about the connection. It's about being nice to them. It's about being cordial and humble, and not like, oh yeah, I'm with the big agency, or I'm with an agency. Like, you need to talk to me. No, I think they got it.
To quote the great David Britz, it's about the hang.
All about the hang.
All about the hang.
Yeah.
Well, that brings us to the end of our interview. I want to thank you guys so much. Before we go, I'd like to acknowledge that there'd be no Promoter 101 without Gary Bongiovanni and Gary Smith, who started Pollstar and this conference. Last year, we lost Gary Smith, and I just wanted to take a second to acknowledge his impact on the agency, this conference, the ability for us all to come together, meet each other. Before there was a Zoom, there was only these gatherings, and Gary Smith made these conversations possible. This in particular was his gift to the industry and his love child, and I just wanted to mark today on this stage to thank Gary Smith for his contribution that he's dearly missed.
I would like to give a quick shout out to the queen of concerts, Barbara Hubbard, while she was here.
Right up front, front row.
It's also
every
not a
time,
Pollstar
Barbara
conference
Hubbard.
without Mother Hubbard here.
Yeah.
So we'll be back the last Thursday of every month with a brand new episode of Promoter 101. Our May episode will feature the newly crowned Promoter of the Year, AEG's own Rich Schaefer.
Really, really looking forward to that. Rich, you can't say no now. We want to thank our amazing guests. Thank you for Paladin Artists for leading the year. Andy Summers, Steve Martin, Chyna. Let's give a big round of applause for them guesting up here. And thank you all for coming out today and being a part of this.
And until we see you next time, we're wishing you sold out shows for the month to come. Thanks so much, Pollstar. We love you.
Now, their opinions may have changed, but not the fact that they're always right. Huh? Steiny and Luke in the morning on Promoter 101.
The quote of the month comes to us from Nelson Mandela. It always seems impossible until it's done. Wise words from a very wise man.
I think we should run that back through a Morgan Freeman AI voice generator and actually have the quotes of the week read by the person that they were quoted by. I think we've moved far enough along in life that we can be not only confusing Nelson Mandela with Morgan Freeman, but having him read these tweets of the week. I think we need that in this podcast, Dan.
I could tell right away Andy McPhee and me were going to be good friends when he arrived here in prison.
They intend to live forever. So far, so good. Steiny and Luke in the morning on Promoter 101.
That's all she wrote, boys. Let's wrap it up.
Well, I guess all that's left to do to remind you is that we love hearing from you. We miss all the emails from people revisiting old episodes of Promoter 101, and you can send us a note, drop us a line. Hit us at steiny@promoter101.net. If you miss us and you just want to catch up, we'd love to hear from you. Love to hear from our fans and what they think about this first episode back after a nice little hiatus, Dan.
It's so good to be back, friends. We want to thank everyone that's given us support. All of the outpouring has been so great from all the media and our friends and the industry in general on the reboot. We're so excited about being back. We'll be back every month, the last Thursday of the month, moving forward. Next episode, May 29th. Mark your calendars now. It's going to be right here, Promoter 101, the episode of the month, the last Thursday of every month, right here on Promoter 101.
May's episode will feature Pollstar's newly minted Promoter of the Year, AEG Touring's Rich Schaefer.
And until that episode, we're wishing you sold out shows for the month to come. Sorry, my dog is puking. Arnie, no.
Oh, jeez.
On the carpet. No!
Can we leave that in? Cheers!
Call your mother.
Visit the buffet called Promoter 101.